Hey, how's it going, ladies? Welcome to our weekly Wellness Wednesday. I'm so glad to be here with you tonight. Um, I want to let everybody who wants to jump on, and while I do that, I will go ahead and say my disclaimer that I need to say every time I do these events. But I'm so happy to be here and talk about this this topic. It's a little it can make you a little squeamish. I get it. All right. So anything that I say tonight during this this Wellness Wednesday is health information and is not intended to be health advice. Do not start taking or stop taking or change the way you're taking any of your medications. If you feel like you should, then please first consult with your prescribing practitioner so that they can help you make the appropriate adjustments. And attending this Wellness Wednesday does not establish a doctor-patient relationship. So there you go. We are ready to get started. And I want to emphasize for those of you who are new, this is not the masterclass. This is our weekly Wellness Wednesday deep dive into a topic related to, something of thyroid, or if it's related to your health, it probably has some relation to your thyroid. Or whatever else is causing your symptoms, I am going to be talking about that. So every Wednesday, it's a different topic, and it's always here at 8 p.m. Mountain Time, 7 Pacific. Now, the master class is going to be going on next week. We start Monday, 1 hour earlier. So in 7 p.m. Mountain Time, 6 Pacific, and 8 Central, 9 Eastern, just to help everybody be able to watch live, because you always get more out of it when you watch live. This is life-changing for you. I've talked with 2 patients today alone who are finishing up their customized care, all right? And they have reached their goals and have just made amazing progress. And frankly, part of their journey was taking care of what we're going to talk about tonight. So let's get into it. So every time I talk about this topic, I'm reminded of all the pictures that patients have sent me, all the patients who had no idea that that this can be such a problem, how much it can impact our health. It can certainly be a little unsettling to even talk about this. And when we talk in functional medicine about the root causes for chronic symptoms and our health issues, it's not uncommon to talk about infections with viruses or bacteria, especially overgrowth of bacteria in the intestines. Less commonly, but surely enough of the time, we talk about fungus and yeast infections. Doctors don't even consider this cause that I am going to talk to you about tonight. We need to discuss parasites. We routinely deworm our livestock and our horses, right? Our dogs, our cats, that we keep as pets. We don't. Why don't we consider the need to deworm ourselves? Do we know that parasites are everywhere? They can spread very easily as eggs left in public restrooms, on restaurant condiment bottles that never get wiped off. We let our pets lick us, or we garden and then scratch our noses, our faces, etc. We swim in lakes, rivers, go barefoot as kids, camping, or on farms that we grew up on, or we drink water from streams or rivers, and that didn't really stop us, right? But according to many doctors, there are no parasites in this country. No, and I'm serious. I have literally heard doctors say this. So you're trying to figure out why you're tired and fatigued, why you're overweight or swollen, dealing with brain fog, skin issues, anxiety, insomnia, or gut or digestive issues like bloating, IBS symptoms, or with constipation or diarrhea, or both. Some other related symptoms are bruxism. Okay, grinding your teeth in your sleep also indicates the existence of parasites in the body. Now, this condition is also, so it's known as bruxism. The toxins released by the intestinal parasites can lead to anxiety. These toxins interact with your neurotransmitters, leading to mood swings, nervousness, grinding your teeth at night. If you're grinding your teeth while sleeping or wake up with clenched teeth in the middle of the night, you may be suffering from bruxism, and thus you may be suffering from parasites. Okay, what about itchiness? Parasite infections can cause itching. Some parasites, they dig tunnels under your skin and lay eggs in them, which leads to itching. I'm referring to parasites specifically known as scabies. Okay. Specific parasites like pinworms can produce localized itching, while they can also cause itching around your anus. As they are recognized as dangerous invaders by the body, the immune system produces immunoglobulin E, or IgEs, antibodies that travel to cells and release chemicals causing allergic reactions. So, okay, what about lack of satisfaction after meals? Another sign of a parasite infection is that you will never feel satisfied or full after eating a meal. This feeling is followed by weight loss. Many people kind of joke about how they must have an intestinal parasite if they feel hungry all the time. But this can be a real symptom of parasitic infection. Excuse me. Tapeworms can hatch in your stomach and feed on what you eat. And this means that you're always hungry for more. You will not be fully satisfied or feel full even after eating regular meals. And on the other hand, nausea and gas are common symptoms that reduce hunger levels, right? What about anemia? Parasites can start eating your red blood cells or lead to loss of blood through the stool. Now, this can cause blood loss and result in iron deficiency anemia. Parasites feed on blood of the host, leading host tissue. This can lead to the loss of iron and protein and the deficiency of red blood cells in the body. These worms feed on, worms need to survive, right? So they do it at your expense, right? This causes loss of blood and can make you feel exhausted as there's not enough oxygen circulating in the body to support its normal energy production by our cells. This leads to less function. So you're tired, so you feel weaker, you notice muscle loss. And I'll mention that in a minute. Muscular and joint pain too. Parasites can invade the joint spaces and muscles, and they can release inflammatory toxins that affect normal movements and range of motion. You may feel muscular and joint pain if you're suffering from a parasitic infection. Trichinosis, caused by a type of roundworm, is a parasitic disease that occurs by eating undercooked or raw meat that contain larvae or immature worms. These worms can make their way to your stomach through the food and results in joint and muscular pain. Painful, aching muscles or joints that do not get better with over-the-counter treatments. Some of you have maybe heard of pyrantel pamoate that you can get over the counter. This can indicate the presence of an intestinal parasite. Okay, so skin diseases, allergies, and the related issues. So skin irritation, mysterious rashes, hives, rosacea, eczema can all be signs of intestinal parasitic problems. If you are having itching, rashes, hives without significant improvement, even after over-the-counter treatments like antihistamines, it may be something more than a common skin issue or allergies. Now, the mechanism behind these is a bit complex. Intestinal parasites can stimulate the production of those IgEs I mentioned earlier. So these are antibodies, again, that are produced by the immune system. It can then produce allergic reactions in your body, including skin problems that do not seem to have any real source. Gosh, how else do we get these critters? So we talked about, your lifestyle, maybe, living on a farm and going barefoot when you're out camping in nature. Well, this may kind of blow your mind, but there was some research done for, on transplantations and on organs for transplantations. And the research explained how parasitic worms are passed from generation to generation. Yes, so worms are passed by mom to baby. Okay, they penetrate every organ in the body, especially these particular worms called strongyloides or threadworms, which means that they penetrate the uterus. They travel in the blood and lymph. Once they are exposed to the placenta, then they travel down the umbilical vein into the liver of the fetus. So they start a new life cycle in a new host. So because the worms are introduced into the fetus before the immune system develops, the worms are never recognized by the hosts, the host body, as being foreign. So the immune system never really develops an adequate or perhaps any response. And this is until, of course, we might be, introduced to more parasites later on, or we're introduced to parasitic irritant substances in our bodies that, or maybe we're starting to treat with antiparasitics because we're super suspicious that worms are causing you problems. So then the immune system starts to pay more attention to those stealth invaders, right? So the take-home message is that we all have worms, and our immune systems don't really see them as invaders, at least not readily, and they're not a problem. The one main issue is they use up our minerals and our vitamins, and this suppresses our immune system. They even have been shown in research to cause cancer. Now, in 1926, the winner, I think it's the Nobel Prize for Physiology and Medicine, used parasitic worms to induce cancer. So our immune system may never recognize these worms, and then they can feed on us and cause tissue inflammation and muscle loss and cause the cells to change, and so they'll cause cancer. They're also likely a likely cause of autoimmunity as well. Another issue, as I alluded to or mentioned briefly earlier, is the toxins they produce. Protozoa, for example, produce toxins that can cause chronic fatigue, like Giardia, blastocystis. These are types of protozoa. We see this in stool testing. We see these come up there often enough that we know we have to treat them. And these toxins cause this chronic fatigue, tiredness for no apparent reason. They also cause malabsorption, and so you don't get essential nutrients in very well, like iron or B12. Now, the issue with diagnostics is testing for worms is very difficult and inaccurate, simply because their cells are very similar to ours. And so because they have the same needs, their cells have the same needs as ours. They're called eukaryotic cells. And so and we as animals, we are part of the animal kingdom. We have the same cells. So we need the same nutrients. We need the same minerals. And so if you're doing a scan, it's not always going to pick up individual worms as on the scans, like CT scans and ultrasounds. Now, it's possible that they see a mass, which they sometimes misdiagnose as a tumor, but it can be a mass of of parasites or worms. There are very few blood markers. So we talked about IgEs. These are eosinophils. Well, you can test for eosinophils. They're not eosinophils. You can test for eosinophils, which are the white blood cells that their job is to go after these worms. All right. Neutrophils go after bacteria. Lymphocytes go after viruses. Eosinophils go after worms. And so they respond to these IgEs, these immunoglobulins that we can test for as well. But it's not as helpful to test for those, so they're not usually tested for because they're non-specific. Okay, there's nothing specific for parasites. Okay, so eosinophils we test in a CBC, so a complete blood count. I also check alkaline phosphatase and GGT, and these are two liver enzymes that are markers for zinc and B6 respectively. So parasites really need and munch on your zinc and B6. And I have patients who fill out a questionnaire which asks about travel, certain physical symptoms like bruxism, teeth grinding. If you picked your nose a lot as a kid, this can be a sign. If you have vertical wrinkles here above your lips, if you have certain signs of wrinkles on your feet. I mean, if you have just various symptoms, and the questionnaire goes through that symptoms that I discussed earlier, and so different lifestyle habits, as like I said, as a child, and so forth. So stool testing has shown parasitic infections on occasion. It's nice to be able to see it come up on a stool test, but it is actually fairly inconsistent, very inconsistent, and fairly rare that we actually see these see parasites in a stool test. They're most often negative, again, because they don't like to come out. They don't like to leave their host unless they're being forced out by treatment or the host dies. So a couple of examples of that I wanted to talk to you about, because I think it's, with a topic like this, it's nice to hear some success stories. And I'll just say, the vast majority of our patients see success, and the vast majority of them, they have parasite issues, and we, at least to some extent, and we treat them. We treat these issues, and I believe that it is part of the success that we're able to see. So I want to share some of these stories, these success stories with you, because their success was largely due to the parasitic worm treatment. Okay, so one of our patients, Edna, who had gone to her, before starting her customized care program, she had been to her eye doctor. They had already been set up. She'd already been set up to get cataract surgery on both eyes. And so anyway, she started her program, and she was treated for parasites, and she released a lot of parasites. Okay, I know it's disgusting to even think about how that looks, but okay, so you can't unthink that, right? Anyway, she released a lot of parasites, and so she went. It was about 4 months into her treatment program that she went back to her eye doctor, and the surgeon said she didn't need to have cataract surgery. He was flummoxed. He didn't know what to think. She, of course, said what happened and said what she'd been doing, and he kind of shrugged it off and said, well, keep doing what you're doing. And, so she didn't have to have surgery. she was able to really help improve her insulin resistance and diabetes, so that she didn't have diabetes, and was able to lose a lot of weight, release a lot of fat, and and felt so much better. Energy improved, um, and so that's a huge success story. So another one I want to talk to you about is Michelle. Michelle was in, and Edna, excuse me, was in her like mid-70s. Michelle, let's talk about Michelle. She was in her early 70s, probably 71, 72. And she came in with terrible skin issues, type 2 diabetes, on 2 medications for that. Didn't know she had a thyroid problem. We found a thyroid problem. Didn't know she had a lot of evidence, blood work evidence of parasites. She did end up having a stool test positive for parasites, so one of the few. And this eczema that she had was awful. It covered her entire body. She was red over 90% of her body. It was awful. And she looked so uncomfortable. She was so uncomfortable. Michelle was also 60 pounds overweight. She was tired. She was, exhausted. She didn't sleep because she itched, and it was just so uncomfortable to have this skin condition. And 6 months into her customized care program, her skin had cleared up 90%. The diabetes had reversed by that point. She had released 50 pounds, had improved energy by leaps and bounds. She was a driven person. She came in, I knew how motivated she was. I knew that she was willing to do anything it took. And she did have to take a lot of antiparasitics and do some pretty major things to help her detox from these worms. And so I knew how motivated she was, and that's why I accepted her as a patient. And she did it. She worked so hard at this, and it paid off. Another really, and I tell this one every time, because this success story really does kind of illustrate my frustration with the medical world that just flatly dismisses this as a problem. And this had severe, Maria started out having very severe consequences of a parasitic infection and was losing her vision. And right here in the United States, you guys, it happens. They are everywhere. They are here. You don't have to travel. Now, she was a wonderful Hispanic woman who had only lived in the United States. And so you wonder if, like I shared earlier, if her mother had passed some parasites onto her. And then come to find out, it wasn't just her, it was her children. She had 3 children ranging from 5 years old up to 14, 3 of them who were also dealing with health issues. The 2 younger children were also being evaluated for blurry vision. And the 14-year-old girl had terrible eczema over her arms, her legs. She wouldn't wear shorts or short sleeve shirts to school. Beautiful young lady. And you can imagine, at age 14, how looking like this is just devastating to be around your friends. And so when Maria came in with her husband to meet with me initially, she She wouldn't even look at me. She was so nervous. And come to find out, her husband explained that they had been to 3 different doctors already, 2 ophthalmologists and 1 optometrist. So saw the optometrist first for the vision loss. And she told the optometrist that she really felt like she had a parasite infection. And he laughed at her, kind of just dismissed it. Sent her away with a prescription for glasses. Okay, well, that helped initially, but then it didn't. And she was then went to an ophthalmologist. And the first ophthalmologist, again, when she told him that she really believed that she had a parasite infection, dismissed it and sent her away, said, I can't help you. I don't, just didn't believe her. Unfortunately, the second, she went to another ophthalmologist for a second opinion. And unfortunately, this individual treated her so badly, told her husband, who was with her at that time because she didn't want to go alone, told him that he needed to make sure that she got on antidepressants, and that he basically helped keep control of his wife, because basically saying she was nuts, and she was traumatized by all this. And so she couldn't even look me in the eye. She was so embarrassed. She wouldn't hardly even talk to me. And I had to reassure her, after hearing her husband tell me what happened with these doctors. I had to sit and reassure her that I believed her, that we were going to find the root causes for her issues, that we were going to help her. And sorry. She finally looked me in the eye and said, Dr. Redd, could it have anything to do with a puppy that we adopted? And we started talking about this, and so it come to find out, they had adopted this stray dog, this little puppy who didn't have a home, and it didn't have of course, any care. And they had took the puppy in, and the kids loved it, and she loved it, and it had, brought a lot of joy to their family. They loved on it, let it lick them, kiss them. And then shortly after that, things started to get worse for them, and they started noticing these symptoms. So her husband was convinced that, he was going to support her in this, and they did everything to change the way they ate, to change, to take the right, the right supplements to help them, and the right treatments, which was not easy. I need to emphasize, this is not something that most people can just go out and buy a parasite detox on Amazon and everything's hunky-dory after this. It takes months. It took months, and it took her going through a lot of discomfort to treat these worms, to get them out quickly. And we've, since then, and this has been, frankly, several years ago, as I have fine-tuned my process, we really help to prepare you better, for this, but we needed to get these gone. She was losing her vision. She was basically breaking down mentally, and she had been traumatized by all this. So if if we'd gone any slower, then I don't know. I'm just glad that she stuck it out and she had the support of her husband. Um, and we treated the kids too. Every one of them improved. The 14-year-old daughter, her skin cleared up, everything cleared up, you guys. Um, so it took making lifestyle changes and getting the right guidance and treatment from someone who knew. And her vision is better now than it ever was. And she found she had a thyroid problem with the further testing that we did, and she found that she had some other issues, and her energy improved that she had been lacking, and her mental function improved, mental state, and she stopped being depressed and just having panic attacks and anxiety attacks. And so uh, testing, I will say that it's not always possible to find out uh, exactly what parasites you have, but there are patterns that we can notice in blood work. And certainly with stool testing, that can tell us specific parasites, and specific parasites do have different treatments. So um, if as much as we can, we need to find out exactly what, um, what to do, how to treat them. Um, so I have some questions that you guys have asked, and I'm going to bring those up. And one of them is, can fingernails show signs of parasites? Well, fingernails show deficiencies. Okay, there can be ridges and divots and marks, white marks, and things that show different deficiencies for different B vitamins and iron and yes, so you can see, but it's not a specific test for parasites. How do you get rid of parasites? I know so many of you are asking this. There are a lot of treatments for parasites. However, the most important thing you can do is, first of all, get the right testing. Secondly, once you do get the right testing, then you need to make sure that your detox pathways are open, your detox organs are functioning properly. And most of the time, this requires someone who knows how, who has experience with this, to guide you through this process to make sure that's going on. Prepare your detox organs like your liver and your intestines and your your spleen, your pancreas, all to help you with digestion and all of this. Lymphatics, your biliary system within the liver. I mean, all of these systems have to be working, and open your colon. You need to be going to the bathroom. If you're constipated, if you're not having more than 2, 3, maybe 4 bowel movements a day, then you're slow, and that's not going to help. So taking you through this process is absolutely vital to prepare you for killing the worms. And then you have to detox from that die-off appropriately. And again, all of these systems, these drainage and detox systems have to be working properly, or you will itch terribly. You will have others, you will have side effects, even pain. And so it's important that you go through the right process. Again, a parasite cleanse that you can get on the internet is not going to be enough. So these treatments are often herbal. They, there are certain things like black walnut and clove and there's actually so many. It's like I'm trying to think of the specific ones, and it's incredible that they actually do work. However, you may have a bad enough infection that you need antiparasitics, medications like ivermectin or praziquantel or albendazole or, um, you know, Alenia or, metronidazole to treat these types of infections. Sometimes these herbals are not powerful enough to knock the infection down enough, but in many cases they are. And so there are some really good formulas that we use to tackle this. But then you also have to facilitate the binding or chelating away of this material, this die-off cellular debris that needs to come out. Okay, so it's quite a process. Okay, so I think that about covers it. I don't see any other questions. So be sure to, if you're not registered yet for the masterclass starting Monday, make sure you're registered. It's free. It's information that you won't want to miss. If you are struggling to find answers to why you're tired, why you can't drop the weight off and keep it off, why you have brain fog and can't remember and can't focus, and why you have so many digestive issues, and why your hair is falling out. It's not in your head. I promise you. There are reasons for all of this. And I will teach you how to find those causes, how to get the right testing done to find out what is going on. We're going to cover the blueprint that has helped thousands of patients find these answers and get the treatment they need and be successful. Finally, be successful. Some after seeing doctor after doctor. All right. So life-changing information. I can't wait to join you next week for that. Get ready for the marathon. Get your notebooks and workbooks. The workbook link will be going out this weekend, so that if you can possibly print it out, you can have that ready. Again, be ready to learn. So there you go. All right. Thanks for joining me tonight, and for for your comments and your questions, and for your zeal to learn, and remember to have hope. There are answers, and you still have the power to heal. Have a good night, everyone.